recruited this who was the meeting?
There was a seat, front row seat. That was Nimi's seat. And now don't get it twisted at all. Nimi was totally not a front row student by choice. In fact, the only reason why Nimi would stay in the front row seat was so he could sleep and the lecturer would think he was processing. Nimi was the kind of guy who slept like sleep was owing him something. Every lecture, it was the same pattern, late entrance, big smiles, and he just had this confidence, like he owned the classroom. In fact, I remember there was a time when he would bend over because I'm beside him, so he would bend over and then he would whisper, "Alpha guy, waiting I missed." And I'm like, waiting you missed? The lecturer has been destroying our self-esteem for the past 40 minutes. And then this guy goes, "Waiting I missed." And I would be visibly frustrated. I would hiss at him, even though just a little bit, but I would hiss at him. And then I would just burst out laughing. Because how can you even stay angry at someone who was already laughing? And that was just Nimi. If laughter were a department, Nimi would be the HOD. No tests, no exams, just vibes and vibes. Nimi was the kind of guy that could turn anything into comedy. We fail a test and Nimi is like, "Oh, at least now we know what not to write." The lecturer insults us. Nimi's like, "Yes, sir. Go on, sir. Clear us, sir." Maybe there's a strike in school, and Nimi says the weirdest thing. Nimi literally looks at everybody and says, "Well, we could think of it as a sabbatical leave for the students." And that's just the type of guy Nimi is. I remember there was a time when the lecturer was in class, and the lecturer said, "Some of you will not graduate on time." Everybody froze. Literally, I mean, that's like the worst thing you could tell students. And everybody froze. Fear entered our hearts. Only for Nimi to literally lean into me and whisper. And this is exactly what he said. Nimi said, "Well, the lecturer said we will not graduate on time." Meaning that there is hope for us to graduate. The moment he said it, I burst out laughing, like to the point where my stomach started to hurt me. And he was just that type of guy. The funny thing is, whenever Nimi was quiet, everyone noticed. "Alpha guy, waiting to you. Waiting this up vex you." And then Nimi would just smile. He would always smile. And then he would say, "I'm good." Nimi was always good. He was always fine. He was always okay. And, we believed him. Because, I mean, funny people have to be okay, right? If Nimi was not in the class, all of us, we used to say it, class would dry. Now, if Nimi should travel, it's a different statement for that. Lecture go boring. And then the third one, if Nimi should not now be around, everybody knows who go save us from boredom. His impact was undeniable. Yet, nobody ever said, if Nimi is tired. Because tired people are not funny. Tired people don't crack jokes. Tired people cannot carry the mood of an entire class. I remember there was a time when there was a heavy rainfall, and the type of rainfall where you just start to realize that umbrellas are not just for decoration. and everybody basically stayed back at the hostel. Then I went regardless. I got to the class, and then I saw Nimi, which was shocking because the first thing I was like, guy, rain no stop you. And then Nimi smiled, as usual. He smiled, and he said, "If now I realize the gravity of what he said, but as of then, he looked at me and he was like, if I stay back in my hostel, my thoughts will start charging me for rent." I mean, now I get what he was trying to say, but then I just laughed because it's Nimi, another joke. So I just laughed. I mean, of course I laughed because that's what we do, or funny people, when they tell us what they have to tell us, we take the joke, we take the humor, we take what we want to take, and then we drop the truth. We drop their truth. I did not notice his laugh did not last that long. I did not notice he was tapping his toes, he was tapping his legs. I did not notice that I wasn't even listening to him. I was just too busy laughing. Now, everybody has a version of Nimi, right? So, to the lecturers, Nimi was unserious. To the students, Nimi was a source of entertainment. And then to me in particular, for me, Nimi was my escape from long, boring lectures. But I don't think anybody actually ever asked who Nimi was when nobody was looking. The day they announced it, I laughed. I swear I laughed. Because when it comes to Nimi, everything starts as a joke. And I was waiting for the prank, relax, it's fine, we're just kidding. But then I realized at a point when nobody said anything, nobody laughed, then it started to dawn on me that Nimi didn't die in an accident. Nimi didn't travel. Nimi was not sick. Nimi actually took his own life. And suddenly, every joke sounded different. Every laugh felt like a noise that was trying to cover up something that was heavy inside. Every time he said, "Guy, don't worry," I started to think there were actually things that he was worrying about alone. And we weren't there for him. We clapped for his humor, we shared his jokes, we used him to survive school, but we never for once listened to his silence to know what was really going on. Because once you're funny, you're not expected to be tired. Once you're funny, you are not expected to be broken, you're not expected to be sad. That's what we thought. And I am here now, same seat, same classroom, and everything is quiet. It's painfully quiet. Nimi was the sound, and without him, everything felt loud in the wrong way. It wasn't there, and it felt like all the jokes he made, it wasn't really for us. They were jokes that he made to actually keep himself alive. If I had known, if I had listened harder, if I had asked again, then I think I would have realized his pain. I would have understood what he was going through. So please check on your funny friends, because they're tired too.